Guys, I have been down the rabbit hole of genealogy for the last 2 weeks. We'll talk about some of my roadblocks and mistakes on today's episode of the podcast. Hi, welcome to the Hungarian Living Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Sabo-Voss. Our goal is to discover, celebrate, and share Hungarian heritage and encourage you to do it too. We'll touch on food, travel, history, music, language, and share stories from our guests. We're glad you're here. This is a podcast where we'll explore Hungarian heritage in a variety of ways. We'll introduce you to some fun people and organizations who love their Hungarian heritage and share some great resources with you so you can get connected to your Hungarian heritage in a deeper way. So whether you know a little or a lot about being Hungarian, this is the place to be. I decided at the end of last year that in the first half of 2022, I was going to dig down and really try to get some things fleshed out on my family tree. I don't need to go super crazy, but I do need to get a few more people and places put together for my own knowledge, but also for other family members. My biggest weak point with the genealogy is that I poke around here and there as I have time. I don't have regular focus time to work on it, and so I dive in, and then I back up, and then several months or a year later, I dive back in again. So here I am in the thick of it again. If you know something about genealogy, you might categorize some of the things I talk about today as rookie moves. I will admit I am likely the most inconsistent person out there looking into their genealogy. I have dipped my pinky toe in and out of genealogy for about 11 years, and truly, in 11 years, I don't feel like I've gotten any further than my pinky toe. But I know I have. It's just that when I open the door to a new person, sometimes it gives me so many other people to think about. And then I have to take a break because I have other things tugging at my time. It is only recently that I've thought about the extended family in a really big way. When I was a kid, I hung out a lot with my first cousins. And then as family things often happen, there were some family disagreements and deaths, and then I went away to college and essentially never moved back to home base. I got married and we lived in Nebraska nearer to my husband's family. Then we moved a few times more. And I was so busy doing life with my husband and kids that I didn't really wonder about who was beyond that. Through the years, though, I have had some contact with second cousins on one side and a lot of contact with second cousins on another side. Sprinkle in an aunt and uncle and first cousins, and there you have it. It's a bit of a mishmash, and for no great reason other than life has a way of moving you in a direction. So, as it is in genealogy research, one thing leads to another. I'm not the one who always pays attention to details, but when I logged into Family Search the other day, I noticed that my brother and I were both listed as deceased. It came as a surprise to me, of course. I fixed those errors and sent a message to the person who had put them there. He was very apologetic about the mistake. He seems to think we are related through marriage on my dad's side of the family. I think it was an honest mistake and maybe a rookie mistake. I am sure I make plenty of mistakes of my own. But it was an unwelcome step in the process. Here I am looking for great-great-grandparents and their siblings, and I get stuck trying to straighten out the details of my own life. Thankfully, I was able to message him, he messaged back, and it's all good. Anyway, I think the hardest thing for me in this research is staying focused on one branch. I feel this immense pressure to connect with the ones who are still alive, but I don't have relationships or even know everyone out there. So I'm going to start in a small circle and branch out from there. Some of the challenges I have run into, I have an Ancestry account, a Family Search account, and a MyHeritage account. And the trees are not identical, so I run back and forth between the trees. That is something I need to solve. This leads to challenge number 2. I need a home base for my family tree, so I'm only working on my part, and then I can update the other sites. And while I love having things on a genealogy website, I want it in my physical possession too. Websites go down, computers die. I will want the info printed from time to time. So I bought Family Tree Maker. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I will. And soon. But first, I need to catch my breath. Challenge number 3. I have physical items and I have digital items. I have notes on the backs of envelopes, notes from my mom in her handwriting, documents, all kinds of things. I don't want every physical thing I have to be digital, and I don't necessarily want every digital thing to be physical. What is the happy medium here? For now, I have a box and I keep tossing things in the box, and on my computer I have a genealogy file and I keep tossing things in the file. Challenge number 4. I run down these rabbit holes, and I need to balance how much time I spend on the project. But also, time is running out. What a stressor for me. I want to do all the things, but I have limited amount of time to spend on it. And I must prioritize my focus. Is it better to dig deep for 52 hours in a week? Or is it better to do 1 hour a week for 52 weeks? Or is there some balance I can find between the two? Challenge number 5. I see there are people out there who know some of the answers. But like me, their engagement is sporadic. They may be down their own rabbit hole and they don't see my message. Or something else. Who knows? It feels like so much hurry up and wait. So I hurry up and then I wait. And then I'm off doing something else until I have time to get into the zone again. Challenge number 6. This feels like more of an untamed forest than just a tree. I can't seem to find my way around it in an orderly fashion. Thankfully, there are some who have gone before me and cut a few paths. And I am thankful my friend Laszlo Josa is patiently working with me as I try to discern what's out there and what belongs in my tree. He is holding my hand until I get my footing, because I'm definitely a toddler when it comes to genealogy. Thank you, Laszlo. You are a gem. If you are into genealogy, what solutions have you found to the challenges I have stated? What tips and tricks have worked for you? Some of my recent genealogy wins are I did a DNA test and found out that I'm distantly related to a guy named Josef. Here is the funny thing about that. He traveled with my mom to Hungary in 1997 before we knew there was a family connection. We don't actually know how we are related yet, and we may never know because we possibly share 5th great-grandparents or 6th or 7th great-grandparents. At any rate, it's definitely distant, but it is definitely very cool. And if my mom was alive, she would have loved to have known about this. I set a different DNA test last week just to see if it will show anything different. Who knows? It is interesting piecing things together, even just a little at a time. Another win is that I recently found, again, a letter from a guy from Sweden sent to my mom explaining how he thought we were related to our family. Sadly, I don't know that he is still alive, but I am slowly wading through the waters of 1880s to see if there is a connection. And there appears to be one, and now I am connected to the part of the family that stayed in what is now Slovakia, but was a part of Hungary prior to the Treaty of Trianon in 1920. Fun stuff. Another win is that I have taken some time to communicate with several relatives, first cousins, second cousins, third cousins, and I have been asking for some first and secondhand information about our family in order to bring a little more depth to the people in my family tree. We will talk more about that in a future episode of the podcast. In the meantime, if you're new to genealogy, start doing a little digging. Get a box for your genealogy finds and get a notebook and make a genealogy file on your computer. And start finding out the names, birth, and death dates, important places lived, and the religious affiliation of your parents and grandparents. If you haven't started yet, now is the best time. From time to time, we will talk about genealogy on the podcast because it really does help round out a few things about your Hungarian heritage. Remember, we can't possibly pass on what we don't know. Hopefully someone in your family is into genealogy, but maybe you are the person. As always, thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. Please share it with someone you know who loves their Hungarian heritage. We'll talk again soon. Want to learn Hungarian or learn how to cook Hungarian food? We've got you covered. Check out all our class offerings as well as meaningful books and gifts at thehungarianstore.com. Special thanks to Stephen Chichek and the Animal Cannibals for the show music. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Hungarian Living Podcast, please share it with your favorite Hungarian. Check out our show notes for links to resources mentioned in this episode. If you have a question or comment, email us at podcast@hungarianliving.com. We'll catch you next time.